Hi, good evening everybody. In this class, I am going to cover the weekly current affair of the last week. In these classes in Edukemy, we are covering the weekly current affairs every Friday from 2:30, but today class is shifted at 5 p.m. due to some reasons. As the prelims is approaching, so everybody have a concern in their mind how to read the current affairs, from where to read the current affairs. तो स्पेसिफिकली सबका क्वेश्चन यही है, दो द कैंडिडेट्स आर प्रिपेयरिंग हाउ एंड वेयर, एंड थर्ड इज द कंसोलिडेशन, how I can consolidate the current affairs of a complete year, which magazine to read, from where to read. These are the mainly concern. So I can understand your concern, but there is no way कि आप एक सोर्स से पढ़ के you can tackle the current affairs. There can be the multiple source required. The basic idea for the current affairs, you need to read newspaper, any paper you are following, either the Hindu or the Express, plus you need to make your note from the newspaper. You have few headings, or you can also follow a online source of current affairs from where the daily newspaper covering you are looking at. If you are consolidating your daily newspaper from the online portal as well as the daily newspaper, and also when you are going to match this with the monthly current affairs, you will find out in almost the 70 to 80% of the topics you already covered in your notes when you are making your notes from the newspaper, and the remaining 20 to 30% of the topic you can find out through any magazine available in the market. You can also read the Edukemy current affair magazine. It's available on the Edukemy website. So that 30% can also be included in your notes, and that notes can also further concise according to the requirement of examination. So this is idea to one of the idea to read the current affairs. There can be many idea. You can attend the current affair classes, but the basic idea, until and unless you are not doing the consolidation, you are not writing on your own, then the current affair process become very tough. And in the as the prelims is changing its scenario, the current affair almost contribute 30 to 35% of the paper in direct mode, and in 50 to 55% of the paper in indirect mode. Indirectly, why? They are mixing the current affair facts, they are mixing the current affair information with the static part, and they are asking the question. Even the question related to locations, even the question related to the any of the phenomenon, question related to economics, factual economics, data related to economics, all are picked from the current affair part. So without the current affairs, not possible to qualify the prelims. So it should be an idea, you are an eye on the current affairs whenever you are going through the daily processes. At Edukemy, I am taking classes every Friday at 2:30 p.m. plus every Saturday we are taking a current affair weekly test under the name Current Affair Impact Program, and this test have 20 questions of the last week. Till now, from the May onward, we almost completed the 34 test, means more than 650 plus questions we already covered in our weekly test. If you are attending these classes of every Friday and you are solving this current affair test, I can say that the most of your current affairs can be completed through these current affairs. All of your query can be solved through these current affairs. When you are attempting this test now, you have find out the application part also. How the question can be framed from a topic that has been in the news from the last few weeks or today. Without the application of the topic, you're not able to solve the question of the current affairs until and unless आपको यही नहीं पता है कि how the UPSC is going to frame the questions. तो इसी को कंटिन्यू करते हुए टुडे आई विल शो यू द क्वेश्चन फ्रेम्ड बाय द यूपीएससी that was in the news, but the statements are picked from the static part. So this should be in your mind whenever you are reading about the current affairs. How to link those current affairs with the static part is become as much as important as the current affair is. Okay. So in today's class, I am going to cover a topic related to waste management. Waste management is also an important topic for your prelims examination. If I see the PYQ, many of the question has been asked by the UPSC in the previous year from 2010 onwards, but recently in 2019 there was a question related to solid waste management in the prelims. And all the statements are directly given. All the statements are directly given from the Solid Waste Management Act of 2016, but some change. Instead of asking just giving a direct statement from the act, they are just twisting the information and asking you. Most of students mark wrong that question. So how we can use the information of the current affairs to address the question in the examination? So let's see the question asked by the UPSC. Then I will start the topic. This was the question asked by the UPSC in 2019. The question was, as per the solid waste management rules of 2016 in India, which one of the following statements is correct? The question is about the solid waste management rule of 2016, and we need to tell which statement is correct out of it. The question is saying waste generator has to segregate waste into 5 categories. The rules are applicable to notified urban local bodies, notified towns, and all industrial township only. The rules provide for the exact and elaborate criteria for identification of sites, landfills, and waste processing facility. Criteria for identification of sites and landfills. And the last one is, it is a mandatory on the part of the waste generator that the waste generated in one district cannot be moved to another district. In this question, we need to answer which statement is correct. All the information were given in the Act of 2016, but again, how you is reading the Act? आप कैसे उस Act को पढ़ रहे हैं? And how you are going to answer the question? It's all about how you are studying, how you are looking at the topic whenever you are reading a current affairs. Okay, so let's start with today's class. The class is about the waste management. Waste management. The waste management can be solid waste management, plastic waste management, e-waste management, biomedical waste management, इसके साथ साथ द कंस्ट्रक्शन एंड डिमोलिशन वेस्ट, construction and demolition waste management. These are the various category, and there can be much more category under the waste management, and under all of these category the government of India make an act related to how we can manage the solid waste, how we can manage the plastic waste, how we can manage the e-waste, biomedical waste, and the construction and demolition activity waste. So this area, this topic become very important for your prelims examination. अगर हम देखें specifically the recent context in Delhi specifically, I can say the construction and demolition activities are banned from the last 2 months due to the pollution issue in the Delhi or NCR region. So do you ever think how we can link the ban of these construction and demolition activity in Delhi through the Construction and Demolition Waste Act, and how the question can be framed from this Construction and Demolition Waste Act? किस तरीके से क्वेश्चन बन सकता है और कैसे इंपॉर्टेंट है कंस्ट्रक्शन एंड डिमोलिशन वेस्ट एक्ट? तो दीज थिंग नीड टू बी ब्रेनस्टॉर्मिंग. जब तक आप सोचोगे नहीं, जब तक आपको पता ही नहीं है how the UPSC is framing and how the UPSC is asking the question, you are not able to give answer. और इसके लिए आपको उतना कॉन्फिडेंस भी नहीं आएगा if you are not preparing strategically. So why this topic was in the news recently in the Rajya Sabha? Recently in Rajya Sabha, the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change give an answer. From 2014 to 2023, there is a huge change in the waste management, specifically the solid waste management. This is the answer given by the Environment Minister in the Rajya Sabha, and the news was on PIB recently. So that's why this topic has become more important. So how we can link this topic with the prelims? We need to look at all these act. What are the specific conditions given in this act? Who is the controlling authority of this act? What are the information given? What are the time period given? Sites क्या क्या हैं? किस चीज को प्रोहिबिट करता है? Who is operating authority? म्युनिसिपल पार्टी के पास क्या पावर है? What is the power of an individual person? पॉलिटी से कैसे लिंक है? किस आर्टिकल के अंदर एनवायरमेंटल प्रोटेक्शन आता है? एंड ऑल दीज एक्ट अंडर विच एक्ट? तो ये सारी चीजें आपको पता होनी चाहिए. So all these acts are come under the Environmental Protection Act. Mental Protection Act. जितने भी सॉलिड वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट के एक्ट हैं, दैट कम्स अंडर द एनवायरमेंटल प्रोटेक्शन एक्ट. So that's why this topic become more important. So whenever we are talking about the solid waste management, the first term comes in my mind is the extended producer responsibility. Extended producer responsibility, EPR जिसको बोलते हैं specifically. The extended producer responsibility is also introduced in the each act, related to which means who is the producer of an material which impact the environment, which specifically affect the environment, so that the producer having the responsibility of collection, of recycling, and the fine related to that specific solid waste management. So this is the meaning of extended producer responsibility. With the extended producer responsibility, there is also the another one, the polluter pay principle. Polluter pay principle. These terms have become important for your prelims examination. पोल्यूटर पे प्रिंसिपल नाम से ही पता लग रहा है, जो पोल्यूट करेगा दैट विल ही और शी विल पे और द कंपनी विल पे. इफ यू आर XYZ कंपनी, यू आर प्रोड्यूसिंग द पेट बोटल्स. These PET bottle collection, recycling, hefty fines go to polluter, the producing company. That comes under the polluter pay principle. Now, in the specific this act, what is the reply? What was the reply of the environmental minister in the parliament? The environmental minister said that the India is producing approximately 1.5. India is approximately producing 1.5 lakh metric ton of waste per day. 1.5 lakh metric ton of waste per day, and India is only having the 70% of processing capacity of this waste. Processing capacity of this waste means the other 20-30% of the waste India is not able to process. And also the idea was given by the minister in the Rajya Sabha. India is now able to tackle daily 1.1 lakh metric ton of solid waste on daily basis. Solid waste on daily basis. This is the data given by the environmental minister. कि इंडिया प्रोड्यूस इतना करता है, बट नाउ वी कैन टैकल द 1.1 lakh metric ton. With this, also the Rajya Sabha was informed related to there is a huge development from 2014 to 2023 in the solid waste management. Because in most of the cases, the rule was changed in 2016, like Solid Waste Management Act 2016, Plastic Waste Management Act 2016, Construction and Demolition Waste Management Act. All are modified, and also a new principle, the polluter pay principle, extended producer responsibility, is added under these acts. Even the bigger phenomenon, the bigger scheme of the government of India, the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, introduced in 2014, is the major behavioral change, the largest scheme in the world which tackles the specific behavioral change. Without behavioral change, we cannot tackle this kind of the problem. The Swachh Bharat Abhiyan means that everybody is involved in the scheme, that everybody is involved in this abhiyan, that's clean our country. तो सबसे पहले the government tackle ODF, open defecation free. Then they tackle the ODF plus, defecation free and maintaining the things. इसके बाद there comes to the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan 2 under Gramin page, जहां पे स्पेसिफिकली दे आर टैकलिंग, स्पेसिफिकली दे फोकसिंग ऑन द क्लीनलीनेस के साथ उसको मेंटेन करने के लिए भी अंडर स्वच्छ भारत अभियान. दैट्स मींस द कंट्री शुड बी गार्बेज फ्री. कंट्री शुड बी गार्बेज फ्री. दैट्स अंडर द स्वच्छ भारत अभियान 2. एंड दिस इज टैकल्ड बाय द ड्रिंकिंग Department of Drinking Water and Sanitation. Department of Drinking Water and Sanitation under the Ministry of Jal Shakti. Under the Ministry of Jal Shakti. So this information become more important. किस departments के अंदर आता है? And the Ministry, the Ministry of Jal Shakti. Now we need to look at the categorization. Which type of waste is categorized as solid waste? Which type of waste is categorized as solid waste? So you can write here You can write here waste produced during, you can write the waste produced during new buildings construction, means the construction and demolition wastage include, plastic wastage include, specifically human animal treatment wastage include under the solid waste. But there is another category, that is the e-waste. Damaged keyboards, damaged laptops, mobile phones are excluded under the category of solid waste, but they are included under the category of e-waste. So you need to remember the categorization under the solid waste. We can say the human waste is included. इसके साथ साथ बायोमेडिकल वेस्ट, प्लास्टिक वेस्ट, construction and demolition waste, all are included under the solid waste management. But there is a new category of the e-waste where specifically the government is focusing on, like the e-waste like the keyboards, PCs, TVs, mobile phones. These are excluded from the solid waste and put under the new category of e-waste. That can also be a statement there. The categorization of the e-waste is under the solid waste or not, but the government excluded it. Whenever we need to manage the solid waste, what is the first requirement? What is the first requirement? अगर किसी को मैनेज करना चाहते हैं सॉलिड वेस्ट को, तो what is the requirement? The first requirement is collection. We need to collect the garbage. Like in your society, near your houses, the municipal committee is collecting the waste from door to door. The very famous model of the Ranchi, Jharkhand is very famous. The model of Chhattisgarh is the very famous in door-to-door collection. There was also famous song, गाड़ी वाला आया घर से कचरा निकाल. That's the main part. Until you are not able to collect the complete waste, how you are going to process it, how you are going to transport it. The first part is here, collection. Then the second part is the transportation. Collect तो मैंने कर लिया, but where to transport? What are the landfill sites? किस site पर transport करना है? The question we looked at. Transportation पे एक statement था कि you cannot transport from one city to another, but in the solid waste management rule, it's nowhere written you cannot transport. You can transport the waste from the one city to another city according to the location decided by the local authorities. So that statement is wrong. Collection, transportation, the third process, treatment. जब तक आप उसको treat नहीं करोगे, you are not able to dispose the waste. Next is disposal. Collection, transportation, treatment and disposal. These are the few which are required to tackle the solid waste management. And here's one more information as we discuss about the extended producer responsibility. We discuss about extended producer responsibility, but this EPR responsibility are introduced for specific acts. EPR is introduced for the specific act. You can write down plastic packaging, you can write down plastic packaging, e-waste, used oil, you can write down plastic packaging, e-waste, used oil and battery waste. Plastic packaging, e-waste, used oil and battery waste. These 4 points are important for your prelims examination. Extended producer responsibility are included only under these waste. जब आप कोई प्लास्टिक वेस्ट कर रहा है, आपको कोई प्रोडक्ट इन द एनवायरमेंट, ई वेस्ट यू आर जनरेटिंग लाइक मोबाइल फोन्स, यूज्ड ऑयल, कुकिंग ऑयल का जितना भी यूज है, यूज ऑयल को कैसे यू आर लाइक हाउ यू आर डूइंग विद द यूज ऑयल, कैसे उसको एनवायरमेंट प्रोटेक्शन के लिए बचाया जा सकता है, एंड द बैटरी वेस्ट. तो अंडर दीज 4 कैटेगरी गवर्नमेंट इंट्रोड्यूस द एक्सटेंडेड प्रोड्यूसर रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी. दिस इज अ गुड स्टेप by the government. अगर आप प्रोड्यूस कर रहे हो या डैमेजिंग द एनवायरमेंट, देन द रिक्वायरमेंट ऑफ एक्सटेंडेड प्रोड्यूसर रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी इज देयर. ठीक है, so let's see the question again जो हमने देखा था. The waste generator has segregated the waste into 5 category. अभी तक हमने ये पढ़ा नहीं, but we will read in the solid waste management. We discuss about this. It is mandatory the part the waste generator that the waste generator one district cannot be moved to another district. We discuss कि हो सकता है, so this statement is incorrect here. Waste generator has segregated into 5 category. ऐसा कहीं mention नहीं है कि 5 categories में होना चाहिए. It's 3 categories. The rules are notified urban local body, notified towns and all industrial towns. Only there are many organization involved, individual involved, private company involved. So these are not only the 3 organization that are involved. So this statement is also incorrect. First is incorrect, second is incorrect, fourth is incorrect. So the statement number 3 is correct here. So the answer will be rules exactly elaborate about the landfills and the capacity, waste processing facilities. So this was the answer of this question. Now we need to discuss about the specific solid waste management act here. Exactly solid waste management act के अंदर क्या क्या इन चीजें इंक्लूड होती है. तो solid waste management act is become very important. Solid Waste Management Act was introduced by the Government of India in 2016, and this act was specifically to manage the solid waste in the country. Without the management of the solid waste, we can like the pile up the multiple waste, and so the government introduced the solid waste management, and let's work specifically from generation to disposal. आप generate कर रहे हैं the waste and how the government is going to dispose the waste. And also the 3 R's: recycle, reduce and reuse. 3 R's are also introduced by the Government of India. And from generation to disposal, the first we need to collection, second we need to transport, third we need to process, and fourth we need to dispose the waste. So under the solid waste management rules, the government introduced various criteria where you are going to dispose the waste. What can be these landfills, कहाँ पे locations हो सकती है, which authority can control it, is the local municipal authority able to find or not, under which act these are coming, the type of solid waste, the extended producer responsibility, the polluter pay principle, all are included under the solid waste management act. Which authority is going to control it, the solid waste management act, which type of materials are included in the solid waste management act, all are clearly defined by the Government of India. So you can write about these information. This information become very important for your prelims examination. So please write. The solid waste includes, as we discussed, what includes solid waste? The solid waste includes new building, construction and renovation waste. Waste made up of such as plastic, waste made up of plastic, bottles and polythene bags. Waste made up of plastics, bottles and polythene bags. Right in the next point. Waste used in diagnosis. Online also, please write the points. Waste including diagnosis, treatment, vaccination, include anatomical waste from human and animal, include anatomical waste, include anatomical waste from humans and animals. So I am repeating again: the construction and demolition waste, the new building waste, the waste of plastic bottles and plastic waste. Third waste, the anatomical waste from the human and the animals, waste from the vaccination, waste from the vaccination, waste of needle, syringe, needles, syringe and cytotoxic medication and cytotoxic medication. If you look at the pattern of the question the UPSC is asking, they are giving you specific points. If you are not going to write these kind of specific points like the cytotoxic medication are included under the solid waste management or not, this kind of the statement can also be framed. So you need to be specifically focused on the language of the Solid Waste Management Act of 2016. Write the next point. Hazardous waste. Hazardous waste means those waste, hazardous waste means those waste that represent an immediate threat to environment, that represent an immediate threat to animals, humans, plants, those are directly exposed to the environment. The government classify, as we discussed, the e-waste are not included under it. The government classify the CRT tubes, motherboards, computer parts, mobile phones, CD, headphones are included under the category of e-waste. So you need to be clear about it, the type of waste included under the solid waste management. Okay, now let's write the next point about the solid waste management rules features. What can be the features, who is the controlling authority, which committee is controlling the solid waste management rules, ये सब आपको पता होना चाहिए. म्युनिसिपैलिटी के पास क्या पावर है, कहाँ पे there will be landfill sites, is transportation or is allowed or not. Please write each points. This will become your notes for the prelims. Write down the first, waste segregation. As we see, the first statement, हमने देखा कि क्वेश्चंस का फर्स्ट स्टेटमेंट इज अबाउट, we look the question here again. The question first statement is saying segregation of waste into 5 category. Segregation of waste into 5 category. This is written in the first line of the act. This is written into the first line, the waste segregation. Write about it. The waste segregation. Under the regulation, all garbage producer, under the regulation, all garbage producer must begin separating their waste must begin to separating their waste into 3 categories, where the question was saying about the 5 category, but the act is saying under 3 category you need to segregate their waste. The categories are biodegradable waste. You can write about the category biodegradable waste, second is dry waste, and third is hazardous waste. So the rule is saying specifically you need to categorize the waste into 3 categories: the biodegradable waste, dry waste, and hazardous waste. Hazardous waste like the insect repellent, cleaning supply, these are comes under the hazardous waste. So this was the first statement in the question, and this is clearly mentioned under the act कि आपको 3 categories में divide करना. If you are using your basic sense, जब आप गार्बेज वाले को कूड़ा देते हैं स्पेसिफिकली, तो वहां पे भी कैटेगरी लिखी है, गीला कचरा, सूखा कचरा. और कुछ स्टेशन पे यू विल फाइंड आउट 3 काइंड ऑफ द कैटेगरी ऑल्सो. जब आप हॉस्पिटल जाते हैं तो यू विल फाइंड ऑल दीज 3 कैटेगरीज. इवन इफ यू आर अप्लाइंग योर बेसिक सेंस कि 5 कैटेगरी तो कभी सुनी भी नहीं है और 5 है भी नहीं. द गवर्नमेंट इज सेग्रीगेटिंग अंडर द 3 कैटेगरी. तो द फर्स्ट स्टेटमेंट आप उस तरीके से भी रॉन्ग कर सकते थे. राइट डाउन द नेक्स्ट पॉइंट. disposal and collection of sanitary napkins. Second point is disposal and collection of sanitary napkins. Now the government make a rule, new rule. Those who are supplying disposal, those who are supplying napkins like the pads, sanitary pads, huggies जो बच्चों के लिए स्पेसिफिकली यूज होते हैं, with these pads, napkins, disposals, sanitary napkins, the producer will send a bag also. That bag means the disposable bag. कि कैसे इसको डिस्पोज किया जाएगा, how the waste can be disposed. So it's become mandatory now. The producer will add a bag for the disposal for the sanitary napkins and the other kind of disposals in the packaging, so that they can be easily disposed, because this is a hazardous waste. This includes under hazardous waste also. So write down the point. The producer to supply a bag, the producer to supply a bag or wrapper, a bag or wrapper for disposal of sanitary waste, like diapers and sanitary pads appropriately. So this is clear now. जो प्रोड्यूसर है वही रिस्पॉन्सिबल है फॉर डिस्पोजल के लिए भी. नाउ दे नीड टू बी एड disposal bag or wrapper under these kind of the products, so it can be easily disposable. Write down the third point. Third point, collect bag system for non biodegradables. collect back system for non-biodegradable packaging waste. Means if producer is producing that kind of the product which is not able to degrade easily, which are not biodegradable products that can be degraded by the bacteria, fungi, or environmentally automatically degrade ho jaye. If the producer is not producing that kind of the product, then it's become the responsibility of the producer to collect back all non-biodegradable waste, like the PET bottles or the Coke bottles. Now the responsibility of the Coke company, Coca-Cola company, to collect back these kind of the waste, these kind of the PET bottles, because PET bottles can be recycled but cannot be degradable. So write down the point. Owners, the brand owners who advertise, the brand owners who advertise or sell their product, the brand owners who advertise or sell their product in non-biodegradable or unsustainable packaging. आप लिख क्यों नहीं रहे हैं? Please write down. This is the important information for the prelims. नोट्स तो मिल ही जाएंगे, लेकिन नोट्स के साथ साथ लिखना भी जरूरी है ना. If you are not writing the information with the class, it will become very difficult to retain the content also. When the hand and the mind work together, that's the maximum retaining capacity you have. So please write down. Brand owners who advertise or sell their products in non-biodegradable or unsustainable packaging, they must set the system of collection. They must set the system of collection as well. A collection as well. Now the government also introduced a sport fee. On sport fee means आप देखते हो, whenever you're going to any place, you're throwing PET bottles on roads, you're throwing the wrappers of the Kurkure Lays on the roads. आप कुछ भी garbage roads पे डाल दे. Now it's the authority or municipality, they can charge a fine on any individuals. Now it's a power in the hand of the municipalities or the local authority. They can charge a fine if they find someone that's spreading the garbage in the public, or they are affecting the environment directly. So you can write, a sport fee is introduced. A sport fee is introduced if someone is found littering, or disobeying the rules, so the local authority can charge fine. Next point, guidelines for waste processing and treatment. Waste processing and treatment. This is the next point. Guidelines for waste processing and treatment. Now, when we are collecting the waste, we are collecting the different categories. So, the one category is the biodegradable waste. So, now the authority under the rules is saying that if there is a biodegradable waste, then you need to convert that waste through biomethanation process. Biomethanation process. Here the biomethanation process means you are generating the biogas, so degrading the biodegradable waste by using the bacteria and the fungi, different kind of bacteria and the fungi. Means waste to energy concept, biomethanation, and this process is followed under the anaerobic condition. Under anaerobic condition, convert this into the biogas, convert the solely biodegradable waste into biogas through the process of biomethanation under the anaerobic condition. These are the points are under the solid waste management. So the biomethanation, so write down the points. According to the regulation, biodegradable waste, according to the regulation, biodegradable waste should be processed, biodegradable waste should be processed and disposed through biomethanation process. Disposed through biomethanation process. And the remaining of biomethanation process to be hand over to local authorities. तो कहने का mean है यही, the context of the saying, you need to be convert that biodegradable waste into the very small waste, and you can generate the energy through the biomethanation, and you need to be hand over the extra waste to the local authority. Clear to everyone? Okay, great. Next, promoting use of composite. Promoting use of compost means here that again this link with the previous point where they are saying you are using the biomethanation process. So now the authority is saying you can also compose the biodegradable waste. That the compost is also supplied by the Ministry of Fertilizers. आप उसमें compost डाल के रखो और उसको process करो, waste को dispose करो. That's key. You can also use the compost. Next point. The dump site. About the dump site, you can write the dump sites. The dump sites must be the dump site, location of dump site. You can make a heading, the location of dump sites. The dump sites should be 100 meters away. The dump sites should be 100 meters away from the river, 100 meters away from the river, and 500 meters away from the ponds, 200 meters away from the ponds, 100 meters from the river, 200 meters from the ponds, and the 500 meter from the habitation or the public parks. 500 meters from public park and habitation. यहाँ पे बहुत सारी colonies हैं, people are living there, so it should be minimum 500 meters away from that sites. So the second statement in the question, there is a specific location for disposal. The third statement, specific location are decided by the authority for the disposal of the waste. So you can mark that statement through this information. Yes, specific location are decided. You cannot make the dump of the waste at any place. These are specifically sites. Next point, Central Monitoring Committee, important point here. Central Monitoring Committee. Who will monitor? Central Monitoring Committee. Write down. The government establish a Central Monitoring Committee. The government establish Central Monitoring Committee under Ministry of Environment. The government established Central Monitoring Committee under Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. And this committee will be headed by Secretary of Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. This is an important information for your prelims examination. Who will head the CWC? Environmental Minister or Secretary? वहीं पे कंफ्यूजन हो जाएगा आपको कि मिनिस्टर will head or the secretary will head. So here the CMC will be headed by the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change Secretary, not by Environmental Minister. Okay. Next point, and it's also saying one important point in it, minimum one time you will meet in a year. एक साल में एक बार तो आपको मिलना ही पड़ेगा. In Central Monitoring Committee, the committee should meet at least once in a year. कम से कम एक बार तो समय निकालो एनवायरमेंट के लिए कि आपको एक बार तो मीटिंग करनी होगी इन एन ईयर. नेक्स्ट पॉइंट, no one should throw, burn or bury, no one should throw, burn or bury waste in the public spaces, streets, roads, etc. जो आप लोग फेंक देते हैं, please avoid and keep the city clean. So no one can throw. Next point, management of waste in hilly area. हमने plain area में देख लिया. Now how we can manage the waste in hilly area? So you can write management of waste in hilly area. Management of waste in hilly area. Write down. Land for building sanitary sites. Land for building sanitary sites. Land for building sanitary sites in hilly area. Will be listed in plain area. Within 25 kilometers. Within 25 kilometer. Within 25 kilometers. Whereas transfer and processing plants in hilly area. Whereas transfer and processing plants in hilly area must be operational. Transfer and processing plants in hilly area must be operational. So this is about the solid waste management rule of 2016. Let's sum up. हमने क्या क्या पढ़ा? In solid waste management rules, the category of solid waste, we write about the 3 category. Then the categorization of the solid waste under the various category, which kind of the waste is included as a solid waste. Then the Central Working Committee work under Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. Power to local authority. Power to local authority. Dumping sites. Sites in hilly area. Polluter pay principle. Process of biomethanation. Process of biomethanation. With biomethanation, you can also write about the biommining and bioremediation. Biommining and bioremediation. These are the processes that are used to tackle with the biodegradable waste. In biomethanation, as we discussed, that convert into the biogas for the biodegradable waste. In biomining, whenever the solid waste having some heavy metals, also some valuable metals, that we are extracting those metals from the waste. That is known as the biomining. Bio word is used because we are using the bacteria and fungi to extract these waste. So there are three terms. So you can write these three terms separately. Biomethanation, biomining, biomethanation, biomining and bioremediation. There can be a question related to match the following, and only one pair correct, only two pair, only three pair, none of the above pair is correct. So biomethanation, we are covering to the biogas. Biomining, we are extracting the heavy metals or the metals. And in the bioremediation, we are taking care of there is no issue with the environment. Remediation कि हमें उसको खत्म करना है. So this can be asked in your prelims examination about these three processes. So you should remember these three processes: what is methanation, what is mining, and what is remediation. So we discuss about all these things related to the solid waste management. Category के बारे में discuss किया है, solid waste के बारे में discuss किया है, MO Ministry Central Working Committee के बारे में discuss किया है, power to local authority क्या है, dumping sites क्या होंगी, sites in hilly area क्या होगा, what is biomethanation, what is biomining, what is bioremediation. If we see the question, अगर हम question पे अब आते हैं, this is the complete information given in the article itself, given in the act itself. Categories is given, rules किस किस पे applicable होगा, this is also given, identification of sites also I dictate, and mandatory for the waste generator, one district cannot be moved to another district, ऐसा कहीं लिखा ही नहीं है. So the simple question, but when you are reading the act very carefully, otherwise this question will become the typical one. So the main idea to showing you this question and dictating all the criteria of the Solid Waste Management Act, so you can identify how to read the current affairs and how we can focus specifically related to the waste management. कैसे हम उसको कंट्रोल कर सकते हैं, how we can tackle the current affair part here. So we discuss about only the one rule, solid waste management rule of 2016. This is your homework now. You will focus on plastic waste management rule of 2016. This has become important because the government is working on the single use plastic को eliminate करना है. Government is working toward the elimination of single use plastic, so these rules are also become important. इसके साथ साथ you will also focus on construction and demolition rules, and also the e-waste management rules. E-waste management rules. We discussed about the solid waste management rules of 2016. Now I'm giving you the homework. You should look on plastic waste management 2016, construction and demolition waste rules, and the e-waste management. And how you will look at these, you should focus on how the question is framed, the kind I discuss here, the kind I dictate some specific point related to these act. You need to make note for these three also. Okay, so tomorrow we are having a current affair test at 11:30. I hope all of you will attend the test. The syllabus for the test, you can read the current affair from the Edukemy website from the last week, from the last Monday to Friday. Okay, all the questions will be from there, and the question specifically will be related to the previous year questions, how the question are framing by the UPSC. So we are trying to frame on those lines only, so you have a clear idea how to read the current affairs. Okay, so we will meet tomorrow in the current affair test. You can attempt the test on the Edukemy portal on every Saturday at 11:30. If you want to come to offline center, you can come to the Delhi ORL. So you can attempt here also. Okay, thank you everyone.